Hey guys, welcome back to One Stop Biology. And so in today's video, we are going to cover organ and organ system. So basically, till now, in the previous videos of this chapter, which is structural organization in animals, we have covered different type of tissues in animals, right? So these tissues basically differ as per their structure and function. In the body of the organism, and in order to cover the organ and organ system, so basically these tissues together form organs, and then these organs associate to form organ systems, right? So we'll cover this organ and organ system in the meaning of different as in how they work in different organisms. So what we are going to do is we are going to cover various important organisms, and we'll study their morphology and anatomy. So today we are going to cover earthworm. Now before we start with the morphology of earthworm, guys, I hope you understand what morphology and anatomy mean. So, morphology basically means the outer structure that we see of an organism, and anatomy is the inner structure. So, inner structure, that is the different type of systems, organ systems, the skin, the internal layers of the body wall, and what you see from the outside, how the earthworm looks from the outside, how the body is segmented, what are the outer openings of the body. All that we see from the outside is the morphology. So let's start with earthworm. Now, guys, earthworm is a reddish brown, terrestrial invertebrate. So basically, it's an invertebrate which lives on land, and it lives in the uppermost layer of the soil, which is moist. It lives on in the upper layer of the moist soil. Now, what happens is during daytime, it lives in burrows, which is made by the earthworm itself. What earthworm does it keeps on boring and swallowing the soil, right? It basically feeds on the organic matter which is present in the soil. So it keeps on eating soil, and it makes burrow for himself or herself, right? So they make basically burrows for themselves, and during daytime they live in those burrows, right? So basically, you can also see that in your gardens or in nearby parks, if you go where you have earthworms, you'll see that there are some deposits which are basically fecal deposits of earthworms, and these deposits are known as worm castings. These are known as worm castings, right? So guys, there are two types of earthworms which are common in India. The common Indian earthworms are Ferratima and Lumbricus. They are mentioned here. So they are Ferratima and Lumbricus, right? So let's move on to the morphology of the earthworm. Now they have long cylindrical body, right? You all must have seen earthworm during the rainy season, right? They come out a lot. So they all have long cylindrical body, and these bodies. So they, when we study, classification of animals, we always study that in the case of the group of organisms like earthworm, they have segmented body. Their body is highly segmented. So in the case of earthworm as well, the body is divided into more than hundred short segments, and these segments are known as metameres. These segments are known as metameres. So these metameres are around 100 to 120. 120 in the case of earthworm. It is 100 to 120. Right? Now, basically the dorsal surface of the body. If you see the upper side of the body, which is usually visual, you know, so the dorsal surface of the body is marked by a dark median mid dorsal line. That is nothing but the blood vessel. It's the dorsal blood vessel. We'll see this vessel when we study the anatomy and we study the blood vascular system. So they have a mid dorsal line, which is the dorsal blood vessel, along with the axis, the longitudinal axis of the body, right? Now, the anterior end, the starting of the earthworm, basically consists of mouth and prostomium. This prostomium is a lobe which serves the covering of the mouth. So this prostomium is nothing but covering of the mouth. So there are several functions now. This is also serves as a covering of the mouth. It serves as a wedge. And this wedge does? So basically it force opens the crack in the soil, and then after the soil is open, the earthworm crawls, right? So it basically force opens the cracks in the soil, right? And then these prostomium also are sensory in function. The prostomium has sensory cells as well, right? So we'll study about the sensory cells later. Now, the first body segment of uh, earthworm is known as peristomium. So let's see the structure itself. So this is the structure of the earthworm, and the first segment. So basically, this is the anterior end here. Now, the very first segment here, which contains the mouth, is peristomium. Is peristomium. And this, this covering, this lobe is prostomium, right? So this is the very first segment of the earthworm. Now, if we talk about a mature worm, if we talk about the mature earthworm, you'll see that from 14th to 16th segment, from 14th to 16th segment, so this is the 14th to 16th segment, you have prominent dark band of glandular tissue. So you have glandular tissues present. These are known as clitellum. Guys, you'll have to remember all these terms. These are known as clitellum. So basically, on the basis of presence of clitellum, the body of earthworm is divided into three regions. The body is divided into three regions. The first one is preclitellar. The first one is preclitellar. The second one is clitellar. And the third one is postclitellar. So if I tell you this basically is preclitellar. This is the 14th to 16th segment is clitellar. And this entire segment is postclitellar, right? Now they have four pairs. Remember, they have four pairs of spermathecal apertures, basically which store spermatozoa or sperms. So, which are located ventrolaterally. These are situated on the ventrolateral sides of the intersegmental grooves. So, basically, fifth to ninth segment, right? You have what? You have spermatheca. Right? Now there is a single genital pore which is present on the again ventrolateral side on the 18th segment. So this is the female genital pore, right? This single. Now then they also have male genital pores. They have a pair of male genital pore which are present on the 18th segment. So on the 18th segment you have the male genital pore or aperture, right? Now, apart from that, they have minute pores which are known as nephrodiopores, which open on the surface of the body. So, they have on the entire body nephrodiopores, right? This that you see as nothing but metameres. This is anus at the end, right? So now, guys, apart from this, the, each segment of the earthworm's body, except the first, last, and clitellum. So, except the first, last, and the clitellum, the entire body segment, they have rows of S-shaped. They have rows of S-shaped setae. So here you have setae, right? Now these setae basically are embedded in the epidermal pits in the middle of each segment. So say this is one segment, right? In the middle of the segment, this is the middle of the segment. These setae are embedded in the epidermal pits. They are embedded in the epidermal pits. Now setae basically helps in locomotion. How does it helps in locomotion? So basically, setae can be extended or retracted. And this extension and retraction of setae helps in the movement of earthworm. And because of this, the earthworm moves, right? So these are basically helpful in locomotion. Now let's move towards the anatomy of the earthworm, right? So the let's talk about the body wall first, right? Now, if we talk about the anatomy, so the body wall of the earthworm is basically covered externally by a cuticle. So the first layer is of cuticle. Now this cuticle is thin and non-cellular. It is thin and non-cellular cuticle. Now the second, after this you have the epidermis, right? So you have a layer of epidermis. Then you have muscle layer. Then there are muscles. These muscles are basically two layers. You have two layer of muscle. One is circular and the other one is longitudinal, right? And then you have the innermost coelomic epithelium. Then you have the innermost coelomic epithelium. So you have a five-layered body wall of the earthworm, right? Now let's go towards the alimentary canal. Let's talk about the alimentary canal. So alimentary canal is a straight tube that runs between first to the last segment of the body. So it runs from the first to the last segment. First segment you have mouth, and last segment you have anus, right? So basically it starts from a terminal mouth which opens into the buccal cavity. So again, let's understand this with a diagram. This is the alimentary canal, right? Now if I show you the alimentary canal, it starts from mouth. So basically mouth has a buccal cavity. Right. Now this buccal cavity basically is from first, sorry, from first to third segment. Okay. Now after this buccal cavity, you have pharynx. You have pharynx. Pharynx is fourth segment. After pharynx, you have esophagus. You have esophagus. Esophagus is fifth to seventh segment. Then you have gizzard. Gizzard is eighth and ninth segment. So guys, remember that gizzard helps in grinding the soil particles and decaying leaves, right? So it is basically a muscular segment which is helping in grinding the soil particles. Now after that you have the stomach. After that you have the stomach. From ninth to 14th you have stomach. right? So basically, if you talk about food of the earthworm, it is nothing but the decaying leaves and the organic matter which is mixed in the soil, right? So it derives its nutrition from the soil itself. Now, the stomach has calciferous glands which basically neutralize the humic acid which is present in this humus, right? So it has calciferous glands. Now, after that, you have the intestine that starts from, so this entire region then is intestine. This starts from 15th to last segment, right? Now in the intestine, you have a short pair, we basically have a pair of short and conical. So these are the conical structures which are nothing but intestinal cache or cecum, right? So if I talk about, cecum is basically singular and cache is plural, right? Now this basically projects from the intestine in the 26th segment. This is present in the 26th segment. And you have lymph glands. You have some lymph gland, right? You have lumen. So inside of intestine is known as intestinal lumen, right? Now from 26th to 35, the last segment, there is a presence of fold of dorsal wall. Now there is internal median fold of dorsal wall, which is known as typhlosole. From 26th to 35th segment, you have internal median fold of dorsal walls. This basically increases the area of absorption in the intestine, right? So before that the segment is known as pre-typhlosolar segment part of intestine, definitely, right? Pre-typhlosolar part. And the segment from 26 to 35 is known as typhlosolar part of intestine, right? So what happens is basically, and at the end you have anus. At the end you have anus. Now ingested organic rich soil, which is ingested through mouth, is basically passed through the digestive tract where you have digestive enzymes that break down the complex food inside soil into smaller absorbable units. And these smaller, simpler molecules are absorbed through the intestinal membranes and are utilized by the body, right? So this is all about the alimentary system. Now, alimentary canal. Now, next is the blood vascular system. If we talk about the blood vascular system, this is the blood vascular system basically, and I'll clear the screen so that you can see it clearly. So this is the blood vascular system. Now the blood vascular system is closed, which is first point. Now because of closed blood vascular system, blood is confined to the heart and blood vessels, and you have contractions taking place which keeps blood circulating in one direction. Now, this blood vascular system, this closed vascular system consists of blood vessels, capillaries, and heart, right? So the smaller blood vessels, now the basically it is closed, so the blood basically is pumped from the heart in one direction, and you have smaller blood vessels which supply the blood to the gut, the nerve cord, and the body wall, right? And then the blood glands are present in, so basically they have blood glands which are present in fourth, fifth, and sixth segment. Now, these blood glands basically produce blood cells and hemoglobin. These blood glands produce blood cells and hemoglobin, right? And these are dissolved in the blood plasma. So the blood cells are phagocytic in nature. And what happens is earthworm basically lack specialized breathing devices. They do not have a respiratory system. So the respiratory exchange, I'll repeat it again, they do not have the respiratory system. So the respiratory exchange happens through the body surface. It happens through the body surface, right? The moist body surface wherein the gases are exchanged into the blood stream. So from the blood body surface to the blood stream through the blood cells and hemoglobin, right? So this is all about the closed vascular system. Now so basically if I show you in the diagram as well before I move on. So this is the lateral heart, right? This is nothing but the again the late part of the lateral heart, which is known as lateral esophageal heart. So basically this entire structure that you're seeing here is the heart, right? And you have dorsal vessel. So you have a dorsal vessel and you have a ventral vessel. Now in between that you have a lateral vessel as well. So you have a dorsal, ventral and lateral. Lateral vessel is lateral esophageal vessel, right? So there are three types of vessels. These are anterior loops. And then you have commissural vessel and subneural. So depending upon which part of the body the vessel is serving, you have subneural vessel as well. So there are different types of vessels. You have a heart and there are some loops as well. So this is all about the blood vascular system. Now the next is the excretory system. Now excretion in earthworm happens through coiled tubules which are known as nephridia. It happens through nephridia. Again, a very important point. The excretory system is made up of nephridia, right? Now, these nephridia are of three types. The first one is septal nephridia. Now, again, on the basis of name, you will understand why is it called septal nephridia? Because it is present on both sides of intersegmental septa. It is present basically on septa of segment 15. So it is present on septa of segment 15 till the last, right? And it opens into intestine. So again, this is present from 15th to last and opens in intestine. So this is septal. Now the second one is integumentary. It is attached to lining of body wall, to the integuments of the body. So lining of the body wall of segment, it starts from 3 to the last and it opens in body surface. So it opens on body surface. Open on body surface. Third is pharyngeal. So basically they are present on three pair of tufts, fourth, fifth and sixth segment. These are present basically in the pharynx region. They are pharyngeal nephridia. Now, why nephridia is important? Because this nephridia regulates the volume and composition of the body fluids. It regulates the volume as well as composition of the body fluid. Now, a nephridia starts out as a funnel which collects excess fluid from coelomic chamber. Now, this funnel is connected with the tubular part of the nephridium which delivers the waste through the pore to the surface in the body into the digestive tube. So if you see the nephridial system, you will see that it starts at mouth. You have a funnel type system, right? So if you have to just see what is the context of where all these kind of nephridia are present, basically this is the mouth, then you have the buccal cavity, then you have the pharynx, you have the blood glands here, right? So starting from pharyngeal, so these are ducts of pharyngeal nephridia. After duct, you have tufts of pharyngeal nephridia. After that, you have integumentary present on the surface of the body, integumentary nephridia. And then you have, so basically these are more dense. So these are known as forests of integumentary nephridia. And then you have septal nephridia. Then you have septal nephridia. So this is all about the excretory organ. Now next is the nervous system. So basically guys, the nervous system consists of ganglia. It consists of ganglia, and these ganglia are arranged segment wise on the ventral paired nerve cord. So you have ganglia and you have nerve cord as part of the nervous system. Now what happens is the nerve cord in the anterior region of third and fourth segment bifurcates, and this laterally encircles the pharynx and joins the cerebral ganglia to form a nerve ring. So basically to in the pharyngeal region, it basically forms a nerve ring, right? Now the cerebral ganglia along with other nerves in the ring that integrate sensory inputs, so that basically integrates all the inputs into the body to which the body responds, so that integrates sensory input as well as commands the muscular response of the body towards those inputs. Now, apart from that, the sensory system. So basically, the sensory system of earthworm, they do not have eyes, right? But they have light and touch sensory organs. They have receptor cells towards these sensations, towards light as well as touch, right? So that is why they distinguish between day and night as per the light intensities, and they also feel the vibrations in the ground. Now, apart from that, they also have chemoreceptors. They have chemoreceptors, which are taste receptors, which react to chemical stimulus. These chemoreceptors basically react to chemical stimulus. Now, the sense organs, all these sense organs are located towards the anterior end. Remember that anterior part of the earthworm. All these are located. Now, earthworm, we talking about the reproductive system. Earthworm is hermaphrodite. It is bisexual. So, earthworm have testis as well as ovary, the male as well as female reproductive system. Now, these are present on the same individual, right? So, they have two pair of testes in the 10th and 11th segment. So, better we understand it again with the help of the diagram itself. So, they have two pair of testes, right? So, these are basically testis sac with testes. So if you see, these are the two pairs, one, two, right? So these are the two pairs of testes, right? Now, apart from that, then they have the vasa differentia, which runs up to the 18th segment. So this tube that you see is vasa differentia that runs up to the 18th segment, and then they join the prostatic duct. So These are the common prostatic and spermatic duct. And here you have the prostate gland. This is the prostate gland, right? So the two pairs, apart from this, now there are two pairs of accessory glands as well. So this that you see are accessory glands. So you can see two pair. If you see here, there is one pair here and the one pair here. So two pair of accessory glands are there, right? Now the common prostate and spermatic duct that we see, that opens to the exterior by a pair of male genital pores. So you have a pair of male genital pore, right? And that pore is present on the ventrolateral side of the 18th segment, right? Now there are four pairs of spermatheca. So here the structure that you see is spermathecae because it is a singular, right? So if you see there are one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. So we have one pair, two pair, three pair, and four pair. So there are four pairs of spermathecae which are located from sixth to ninth segment, right? Six, seven, eight, nine. 6 to 9 segment, and they receive and store spermatozoa during copulation. They basically store the sperms. Now, apart from that, let's talk about the female reproductive system. So you have a pair of ovaries. So this is the ovary, right? This is the ovary, and you have ovarian funnel, right? So basically you have the pair of ovary which is attached to the intersegmental septum. Now ovaries are present in 12th and 13th segment. Up, just beneath the ovaries you have ovarian funnel which continues into oviduct, right? And this join together and open on the ventral side on in a single medial female genital pore. Female genital pore is on 14th segment. Male genital pore is on 18th segment. Right? Now, this is all about the male and female structure. Now, basically, what happens, how reproduction and fertilization happens. So, there is a mutual exchange of sperm and egg, right? So, the mutual exchange of sperm occurs between two worms, although they are hermaphrodite, but there's no self fertilization occurring. So, they have mutual exchange of sperm between two worms during mating, right? Now, one worm has to find another worm and they mate juxtaposing, right? So they make juxtaposing opposite gonadal openings, exchanging packets of sperms which are known as spermatophores. Now, mature sperm and egg cells and the nutritive fluid. So, egg, sperm, and then to give them nutrition, you have nutritive fluid. All these three basically are deposited in cocoons. These cocoons are produced by gland cells of clitellum. So the clitellum that you saw on the basis of which the entire body of earthworm is divided into three parts. This clitellum produces cocoon and the mature the mature egg and nutritive fluid are deposited in these cocoons. Now, the fertilization and development, everything occurs within this cocoon and then it is deposited in soil, right? So, the egg are fertilized by the sperm cells within the cocoon and then it slips off in the outside of the worm and it is deposited in the soil. Now, the cocoon holds the worm embryo, and after about 3 weeks, each cocoon produces 2 to 20 baby worms. So each cocoon produces 2 to 20 baby worms with an average of 4, with an average of 4 earthworms. Now, guys, also remember that earthworm fertilization is direct. So there is no larval stage found. The development is direct, right? So, guys, with this, we have come to the end of the basically of the entire earthworm segment. So earthworm are known as, let's see some some uses, some functionalities of earthworm in the ecosystem. So earthworm are basically known as friends of farmers. They are known as friends of farmers. Why? So because they make burrows in the soil, and these burrows, because of making these burrows, the soil becomes porous, and this porous soil helps in respiration as well as penetration of the developing plant roots, right? Now apart from this, also because they keep on eating soil, and then decomposing that, and for what happens is they increase the fertility of the soil, right? So process of this deriving food from the soil itself, they eat soil, and they increase the fertility of the soil as well. So this basically process is known as vermicomposting. So if someone asks you what is vermicomposting, basically it is the process of increasing fertility of the soil by earthworms. Apart from that, if you would have seen, fishermen, they use earthworm as fish food. So basically they use earthworm as bait to the fish. So basically earthworms are fish food as well. So guys, with this we have finished the entire morphology and anatomy of earthworm. In the next video, we are going to discuss cockroach. And I hope you would have understood, what exactly the body of earthworm looks like out from the outside and from the inside, and you would have understood how important it is to the ecosystem. I hope you would have understood the entire video. So, guys, please do not forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and I'll be waiting for your comments. Your feedback is very, very important to me. So, please do not hesitate in letting me know if you like the video or if you have some doubt. For your doubts, you can reach out to me in the by posting doubts in the comment section. You can also message me on the WhatsApp number, and the number is given in the description of the video. But I hope you will definitely give your feedback to me. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.